and I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, what is happening? This has never happened to me before.
What's up, guys?
Welcome back to the channel. We are so excited to have you guys here today. It's another October video, which means we're getting a little spooky today.
It's spooky season.
Hey, how's it going? Good, cool. All right, so today we have a very spooky video for you guys. We're actually gonna be talking about some personal experiences.
Robbie's personal experiences.
My personal paranormal experience that I had almost 9 years ago. It was definitely one of the spookiest, creepiest, scariest moments of my life. And ever since then, it's made me, like, in a way, pretty curious about all things paranormal and like hearing other people's spooky stories and things like that. But we thought it would be perfect time to share this story with you guys.
Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Please, 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 it helps us out so much. And then if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Right, Coda? Okay.
Good girl.
Subscribe to our channel if you love this cute girl. And turn on post notifications. Follow us on all the socials. TikTok, we do lives on there all the time. And Instagram, you know the drill.
I think it's about time we get this started. But if we're gonna tell a scary story, we can't just like tell a scary story and
with the lights on.
The lights on and all that stuff. So hold on 1 second.
All right, guys, now it's story time.
It is story time. This all takes place back when I was...
Little demon. We got a demon in our midst.
Are you ready?
I don't know if I'm ever ready to hear this story.
I've told it a bunch of times, and every time I tell it, it gives me the goosebumps. It takes me right back to the place, and
freaks me the F out.
Basically, this took place, like I said, probably like 9 or 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but it was a while ago. And I was actually living in LA at the time. I was a missionary for my church, and what we did is we were assigned a specific area in the world. I got assigned to LA, and we just worked with families and people, and we taught them about God and Jesus Christ and helped them basically find God in their lives. While you're a missionary, you're assigned to work with a partner, another missionary. I remember it was this specific span of like 1 week where all these things started happening. We lived in an apartment just outside of LA, and we worked with the families in that community. Throughout this 1 week, we were going and teaching and doing service for families, meeting with different families that we had been talking to and working with. And one night we went to dinner to this lady's house, and she was making us this really yummy food, and we sat down to eat, and she was like, hey guys, I really need your help. I have a friend whose husband just passed away, and she lives in this big house all by herself. She is starting to have all these weird, like, creepy experiences in her home, and there's a lot of spirits in her home, and I need you to go over there and basically cast them out. And my partner and I looked at each other, and we were like, no thanks. But I mean, we can't just be like, no, yeah, we're not going to do that. Like, our job is supposed to help them find God and find comfort, but luckily for us, that was out of our assigned area that we were supposed to be working in. So I was like, oh dang, unfortunately we won't be able to do it, but we'll call the other missionaries over there and have them go check on her and help her out. Then the next day, we went over to another family's house that we were talking to and teaching and stuff, and they were it was in this tiny little apartment. They all lived there together. It was a grown son, like a mom with her grown son, her grown daughter, and her grown daughter's husband, and their little baby. And we were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden the son looks at me and he goes, hey, did I show you that picture that I took the other day? I was like, no, I haven't seen you in like a week, so of course you haven't shown me this picture. And he goes, no, look, I took this picture on my phone. I was just kind of scrolling through all these pictures, looking at old pictures, and I came across this picture that I took of my niece sitting in her car seat in the kitchen. And I noticed something really, really weird, and I wanted you to tell me what you thought about it. And this was like way back before there were all these crazy apps that you could like add different things into your photos and things like that. And it just, the
Isn't it a
technology,
flip phone?
it was like a flip phone too. Yeah, like it wasn't like a crazy, like it had a pretty big screen, but it wasn't like high tech at all. So he shows me this picture, and I look at it and I see the little, it's a picture of like their kitchen, the little baby's in her car seat, like on the floor, or sorry, in a chair. And in the bottom right hand corner of the photo, you see a girl with jet black hair. Her eyes were totally black and like sunken in, and she was white, like all white and transparent. And
I just got chills again and my eyes are watering. I'm like crying.
And guys, when I tell you, like, this was the most realistic photo of a ghost, I guess, that I've ever, like, I could not believe. I was like, how did you do this? And he was like, I didn't do anything. Like, I was just scrolling through. I didn't notice this when I took the picture. And I was just looking back now and I saw this. Like, what do you think? Guys, it was clear as day. There was a little girl who you could completely see through in the bottom right-hand corner of the picture, and the baby was looking right at it. And my partner and I were like, okay, well, this isn't really like normal. Have you had any other experiences in the house? Like, and he started telling us about all these creepy stories that have been going on in the house, and we were like, what? So we like said a prayer with them, and then we left. The next day we go to another family's house that we had been teaching for quite a while, and they were one of like my favorite families. It was this mom who had moved to the United States from Central America, and her 3 little kids, and they were the cutest, sweetest little kids. And then we go to leave, and we like are like, okay, see ya. And then we notice that she comes outside with us and closes the door because she is going to tell us something that she doesn't want her kids to hear. And we were like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? And she was like, no, actually, I really need your help. I don't really know what to do. And they lived in this super old apartment building. And she was like, the other day I was in my house while the kids were at school, and I heard like knocking on the wall from the apartment next to us. And we're like, okay. She was like, yeah, but nobody lives in there. And we were like, okay. You know, thinking maybe it was like a janitor or like a maintenance guy, you know, accidentally banged on the wall. And she was like, and then I heard little kids running around in the room as well after the knocking. And so I stopped and I ran outside and like went to go see if the door was unlocked to tell the kids like, hey, you can't play in there. Like, you're not allowed to. This is a vacant apartment, you know, like you're not supposed to be in there. And she was like, but I went to go like open the door, and this Coda. She's like, I went to go. She's like, I went to go open the door to tell them, like, hey, get out, and the door was locked. And I put my ear to the door and I listened, and it was silent. She's like, so I went back into the room, and all of a sudden I heard banging on the top, like on my ceiling, and the apartment above us is also vacant. And she's like, it was like loud and banging and banging. She's like, so I took the broom and I like bumped the ceiling and it stopped. And she's like, and then I heard the kids again in the apartment next to me, and I just don't know what to do. So we're like, okay, well, we probably need to, you know, say some prayers and like see what we can do to maybe bless your apartment and help you out. And then she was like, and also at the end when everything was happening, I heard a knock on the wall again, and then it said my youngest daughter's name. And we were like, yo, okay, I'm sorry, what? Like, this is not okay. And she's like, at that point I ran over there again and banged on the door and tried to unlock it, but it was still locked and it was silent. And we were like, okay, this is very weird and creepy. And mind you, this is the 3rd day in a row now that something weird has been told to us and happened. So we said some prayers with her and like kind of blessed her house, and then we left. It was pretty much all we could do at that point. My partner and I, we would always go back, obviously, to our apartment at the end of the day, and you know, we'd make dinner, we'd hang out for a little bit, and then it was time to go to bed. And we just had a 1-bedroom apartment. It was a pretty big room, so my bed was on one side of the room and his bed was on the other one. And the way it worked was like our room was a square, the door was like right here, and my bed was up against this wall, his bed was up against this wall, and then this was a big closet. The first day that people were telling us about all this stuff, that night we went home, and that night I got up at like 1:30 a.m. to go to the bathroom and then come back in. And then the next morning we woke up and my partner was like, hey, did you get anything out of the closet last night? And I was like, what? No, I just went to the bathroom and I got back in bed. Why do you ask? And he was like, well, I was just curious because like I closed the closet door and when we got up this morning it was open like, I don't know, like a foot. I was like, no, it wasn't me. So then, you know, we went about our day and then had the next person tell us the creepy thing, and then we went back to the apartment, and that night, I don't remember waking up or anything, but the next morning, my partner again was like, are you sure you're not getting up and like getting anything out of the closet? And I was like, no, I'm not. That day where the family, the mom, like told us about the banging on the walls and everything, I was actually with a different partner, because every now and then you would do what are called exchanges, which is where one of you in the partnership would go to a new area and like work with another missionary, and then someone from that area would come and work with you. So I got to stay in my own area that time, and I had another partner who came in and worked with me. So that day I was with somebody else, and I hadn't even told him about anything of the previous days or anything like that, where this last day, the creepiest day in my opinion, when that happened. So that night we go back, and we were all, you know, throughout the day, we're like, yeah, that was kind of weird, whatever. But like I said, we went, finished the day, got back home that night. I didn't tell him about the doors opening and closing in the middle of the night. I didn't say a word. Just when we went to bed that night, I made sure I was the one who closed the door. We go to bed, and I remember I wake up around, it was like 2 or 2:30 at night, and I'm like facing the wall, and I kind of wake up to turn over a little bit, move around, and I remember the room was extremely cold. When I rolled over, I looked, and the closet door was open about a foot after I had already closed it. So I pulled the covers up tighter, rolled back over, fell back asleep. Then I get woken up again. But this time I didn't necessarily like roll over or wake myself up, but I just instantly shot awake. And I was like wide awake, like not groggy, nothing, just instant alert mode. And I'm staring at the wall because I'm sleeping facing the wall, and I look down at my clock and it says 3 o'clock a.m. Somebody is in the room with me, and it's not my partner. Like, I know it's not him. Like, this feels like somebody is in here, they are watching me. And not only am I freezing cold, I'm on high alert, but I cannot move. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, like, oh, sleep paralysis, right? Like, no. Like, I could move my feet and my hands, and I was breathing, and I was wide awake. Like, I've had sleep paralysis before, and this was not it whatsoever. As I'm, like, trying to comprehend what's going on, I feel my sheets and my covers start sliding from my neck, slowly down to my shoulders, slowly down to my elbows, and then when they get to like my waist, they just get ripped off, like thrown off of me and onto the floor, like off of my ankles and my feet. And now I'm just sitting there uncovered, freezing cold, even more like, yo, what the F is going on right now? Terrified. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, what is happening? This has never happened to me before. And I just have this super eerie, dark feeling. And I'm like, you know what? On the count of 3, I'm just gonna turn around, turn over, and I'm just gonna start swinging. If there's a man standing there, I'm knocking him the F out. Like, it's over. I'm just gonna turn around and I'm gonna start swinging. And so I turn around, I'm like, 1, 2, 3. And I turn around and I literally just like flail my arms, and there's nobody there. And I turn and I look at the other side of the room, and my partner is like zonked out. He's passed out, still just completely asleep, hasn't even moved. And I'm like, what the freak is going on? And so instantly I like sit up in my bed, trying to figure everything out. And that's when I noticed that the closet door, instead of being open a foot, had opened all the way. One of those doors had opened completely, and I'm just staring into the pitch black of the closet. And I know that something is in there, and it's looking right back out at me, and I can feel it. And somehow I mustered up the courage, and I slowly like crawled forward on my bed, grabbed my covers, and pulled them back over really tight, because we all know that your blankets and your covers, like, they're magical. Nothing can penetrate the force field of the blanket, right?
Why do you think I'm going like this?
Exactly. Case in point. But guys, I was sitting up with the covers and I was just staring at the closet, just waiting for something to come out of the closet because I could feel it in the room. It was still heavy. It was still freezing. And I knew that whatever had just pulled the sheets off of me came from the closet. And while I was sitting there just praying and like looking and waiting, I somehow ended up falling back asleep. I woke up and the room felt fine. Didn't feel gross or scary or anything. And my partner had got up about the same time as me when our alarms went off. And I didn't tell him anything. I didn't, for some weird reason, like, I don't know why, guys. You're going to ask me why I didn't say anything. I don't know. And the weirdest part is after that day, nothing else happened. This is the weirdest thing. But it was so trippy to me because literally for 3 days straight, we had all these people telling us all these weird, spooky things that were happening. And then on the third day at night, something happened to me. And like, I can't explain it. That's my Halloween story, guys. My own paranormal experience.
If you guys have any spooky experiences yourself, drop them in the comments because we love reading other people's stuff.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
But we are very interested in that.
It's true. It's spooky, but we like to hear other people's...
It's spooky, but...
It's spooky.
It's spooky.
Till next time, guys.
We love you guys.
Peace.
We can be friends if you wanna. We could just talk if you wanna. We could hold hands if you wanna.